U.S. diamond market is quieter than usual while Belgium and Israel finish up their summer break. Indian activity is very reserved. Even traders from Antwerp who are in India this week are buying less than they did a year ago. Rough markets there are quiet, and many of the small manufacturing units in Surat have cut back due to weak demand. The latest retail sales data from independent jewelers in the U.S. is relatively stable and certainly improved, if only because price inflation has been largely unchanged since April. Looking at the June sales figures, jewelry store sales rose 4% year-on-year to $2.2 billion. Jewelry price inflation was basically flat. Both sales growth rates and price inflation were on par with May's figures. However, looking at sales on a seasonally adjusted basis, the June increase was only 1.3%. That was below the 2.6% average so far this year. In review of jewelry store sales growth this year, the 8% CPI wiped out January sales increase of 5%. But sales in February were strong enough to post a solid 8 to 12% increase on average when accounting for price increases. March represented the turning point where price inflation held sales growth flat, and in April, inflation was flat, but sales contracted between 6% and 9%. In May, we saw the CPI contract for the first time in several years. For the first 6 months of 2012, jewelry store sales on an unadjusted basis were up 4.8% to $13.4 billion, while the CPI averaged out about 4%. Jewelers have performed better than U.S. department store sales, whereas those June sales figures fell 3.3% to $14.8 billion. In July, department store sales fell again, down 3.5% to $13.5 billion. Across the retail landscape, e-commerce remains the bright spot. Sales up 15% so far in the second quarter to $43.2 billion as tracked by ComScore. Unity Marketing warned luxury retailers that affluent consumers have reined in spending on luxury products and services. The group's quarterly luxury consumer index plunged 27% from a year ago. This now means that spending by ultra-affluents have dropped to its lowest level since 2008. Consumer confidence has been deteriorating all year, and Unity concluded that these heavy lifters expect economic conditions to worsen as the year comes to a close. Unity urged retailers to prepare for lower comps, and as there is no pent-up demand from wealthy consumers anymore, remember to communicate your value, price competitively, and manage price reductions carefully without devaluing the brand as wealthy consumers look to stretch their dollar in the months ahead. Time now to check on how precious metals prices performed this past week. For all the latest industry news, be sure to check diamonds.net and follow us on Facebook and Twitter.